At the freshman gathering, Xiaxue, a financially disadvantaged student, suggested we go for a 9 yuan all-you-can-eat crawfish buffet. Worried about hygiene, I declined and instead invited everyone to eat at my family's restaurant. Unexpectedly, after the meal ended, when I initiated a group payment, Xiaxue led the charge, cursing, "Heartless profiteer, even after a 50% discount. You still charge 99 yuan, why don't you just rob us? Aren't we your classmates? And you still take advantage of us like this, have you no shame? I'll only pay 9 yuan, take it or leave it. If you ask me, you're still making a profit at 9 yuan. She then went online posting everywhere, slandering my family's restaurant for serving spoiled ingredients that caused stomach problems. The rest of the classmates followed suit, paying only 9 yuan and joining in the verbal abuse against me in the group. Furious, I went to confront Xiaxue, but she shoved me down the stairs to my death. Within days, the family restaurant shut down due to the rumors, and my parents, devastated by the double blow, passed away from depression. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day the class was organizing the gathering. This time, I was the first to stand up and support Xiaxue. This time, I want everyone to know that a 9 yuan buffet can really kill you. I know a great place for our gathering, only 9 yuan for all you can eat. Unlike Big Fish Buffet, which charges 199 yuan per person. What a ripoff, Xia Shui exclaimed excitedly, looking at the familiar classroom blackboard with the words "Welcome, Freshman" written on it. I realized I had been reborn. I was back on the day of the class gathering at the start of freshman year. In my previous life, when Xiaxue suggested going to the 9 yuan crayfish buffet, I was the first to refuse. Since I was also in the buffet business, I knew that you get what you pay for. At 9 yuan, the cost couldn't even be covered, so the ingredients were bound to be subpar. That's why I strongly opposed it, inviting everyone to my family's buffet restaurant instead, and convincing my dad to give all my classmates a 50% discount. Unexpectedly, after the dinner gathering, Xiaxue took the lead in slandering my family in the group, calling us profiteers, and the whole class joined in hurling insults at me. Not only that, she also posted online to smear our family restaurant, causing business to plummet. When I went to confront her, she said smugly, "Su Xin, don't think your family's money makes you something special. What I hate most is show-offs like you. Why can't I eat a 9 yuan buffet? Are your stomach made of gold? Will you die if you eat it? Do you know that 99 yuan is my weekly living expenses? You want me to spend that much on one meal? Are you deliberately trying to embarrass me? Actually, I know your restaurant's ingredients are fresh and worth 199 yuan, and the 50% discount to 99 yuan is just the cost price, but I just don't like you, so I spread rumors on purpose. What can you do about it?" Hearing this, I trembled with rage, rushed up, and grabbed her collar, demanding she clear my name in the group, but she pushed me down the stairs, and my head hit the ground hard, killing me instantly. My parents, devastated by the double blow, cried every day and eventually died of grief. "Su Xian, I heard the Big Fish Buffet is run by your family. I just want to ask, with a price of 199 yuan per person, can your profit margin be over 95%? How black-hearted!" Xiaxue suddenly raised her voice and questioned me loudly. In an instant, all the classmates turned to look at me, snapping back to reality. I curled my lips and deliberately showed off. "The profit is certainly not small, but it's not as exaggerated as you say." Hearing my reply, Xiaxue rolled her eyes in anger and said, "See, I told you their family are profiteers, specifically squeezing money out of us ordinary people. The bigger the restaurant, the more black-hearted and corrupt they are, but nobody's money grows on trees. It's much better to go to the place I recommended. Just 9 yuan for all you can eat crayfish. What a deal. Being called a profiteer in public is something no one can tolerate." In my previous life, I had retorted so fiercely that she was left speechless, but this time, I firmly refused to let them eat at my family's restaurant. I wanted to see what a 9 yuan buffet really looked like, just when everyone expected me to stand up and argue. I smiled slightly at Xiaxue and instead agreed. "I think the place Xiaxue recommended is pretty good, cheap and filling. We're all students, so what matters most is affordability." Hearing this, Xiaxue was momentarily stunned, then raised her chin and sneered. "Oh, have the profiteer seen the light after being scolded by me? Looks like Su Xian has finally come to her senses." At this point, Shinli, the class beauty standing nearby, tugged at my clothes and whispered, "Su Xian, your family's Big Fish Buffet is pretty famous. It's a big brand, so it should be trustworthy. Can you get us a discount to go eat there?" Before I could refuse, Xiaxue jumped up in a panic, walked over to Shinli, and shouted, "Shinli, didn't you hear what I just said? I told you their family are swindlers, deliberately ripping us off. And not just that, how can you still shamelessly want to go eat there? I think you're pretty good looking, but your head's empty, and you can't understand plain talk, Shin." Lee's face flushed red, and she said aggrievedly, I just don't want to eat that 9 yuan buffet. I'm afraid I'll get diarrhea. Seeing Xiaoshui clench her fists as if to unleash a torrent of curses, I stepped in first to stifle her words and persuaded Chinli, our family's buffet never offers discounts, not even for classmates. Okay, the 199 yuan price is indeed a bit steep for students. Most of the regular customers are business people. Right now is the season for crawfish, and I think the place Xiaoshui recommended is just right. Crawfish with beer, that's the youth college students should have. I don't think everyone should be so resistant. Since Xiaoshui strongly recommends it, let's just go and give it a try. If the ingredients don't look fresh, we can just skip eating and even post about it online to warn others. When I said there would be no discount, my classmates chimed in. 199 yuan per person is indeed a bit expensive. I just started school and still have a lot to buy. Everything costs money, we might as well go get the 9 yuan crayfish. That's the summer vibe, isn't it? Exactly, at 9 yuan, you can't go wrong or regret it. After most agreed, the class monitor, Yang Qing, made the final decision on the spot. Alright, since everyone agrees on the 9 yuan crayfish, let's pack up and get ready to head out. Everyone, take a cab over to the location Xiaoshui sent. At that moment, a sly grin of triumph flickered across Xiaoshui's face. Suddenly, a question popped into my mind. Why was Xiaoshui so adamant about recommending that place for crayfish? In my past life, I never figured it out until the very end. Just because I didn't go to the place she recommended, why did she harbor such deep resentment toward me? Could there be some vested interest between her and that restaurant? With that thought, I quickly messaged my gossip-loving best friend, Yang Jinjin, asking her to thoroughly investigate the connection. At 7 p.m., all 50 classmates in the class had finally arrived. Xinli got out of the car with a look of disdain, clutching her bag, and complained with a dark expression, what kind of lousy place is this? It took 40 minutes just to get here by taxi, and it cost me 30 bucks. Isn't that just an indirect increase in my expenses? But Xiaoshui, like a little boss, greeted her with a smile and said, oh, it's a farm stay, so naturally it's a bit out of the way. Look around, these are all rice paddies, and these crayfish are personally raised by the owner. Super fresh. With that, she pointed to 5 large baskets of lively crayfish at the entrance. Seeing the lively, jumping crayfish, everyone breathed a sigh of relief and then praised in unison. Xiaoshui really recommended a great place, even though it's a bit remote. At least it's close to nature and has a sense of life. Exactly, look how fresh these crayfish are. We're in for a treat this time. Getting such fresh all-you-can-eat crayfish for just 9 yuan is really a steal. Watching Xiaoshui introduce all of this, I had a rough idea of what was going on, so I tentatively asked, Xiaoshui, you seem to know this place really well. Is it really your first time here? Hearing me ask this, a flicker of panic passed through Xiaoshui's eyes, but she quickly explained with a calm expression, of course, I just did a lot of research online beforehand, so I'm very familiar with this place. The boss also chimed in hurriedly, right, this is my first time meeting this classmate too, and I have to thank her for bringing you all here to eat. How about this, since so many of you have honored us with your presence today, besides the crawfish, I'll throw in some free cold dishes. Guahu, who weighed 180 Jean, rubbed his belly and asked, Boss, are the drinks and beverages in your place also free? Before the boss could reply, Xiaoshui blurted out, how could that be? That would be a huge loss. Realizing she had responded a bit too naturally, she quickly changed the subject. Everyone, hurry up and grab some food, or the crawfish will get cold. Looking at Xiaoshui's face, which bore some resemblance to the boss, it only strengthened my suspicion that Xiaoshui and the boss must be related. Sure enough, Yang Jinjin sent me a message at that moment. Su Xian, the owner of this shop is called Wang Chang. He used to help others raise crayfish back in the village, and suddenly opened this shop this year. Strangely enough, there's not a single negative review online. Then, she changed her tone and continued, but who do you think your bestie is? I spent a little money to ask around the villagers. This Wang Chang has a daughter studying at your university, and she's even in the same major as you. You two should know each other. So that's it. Xiaoshui is Wang Chang's daughter. She just goes by her mother's surname. Now I fully understand why she hated me so much last time for refusing to eat at the shop, but crayfish priced at 9 yuan per person can't possibly make any profit, so why did Xiaoshui insist that we come here to eat? With that thought, I carried my tray to the dining area. A quick glance was all it took for me to realize that these crayfish, which looked so appetizing with their perfect color and aroma, were all dead, and had been dead for a long time. Since my family has been in the restaurant business for generations, I've seen enough to easily judge the freshness of ingredients. However, these crayfish, whether spicy or Sichuan style, were loaded with too many seasonings, masking their original taste, so the Average person wouldn't notice seeing everyone gulping down ice-cold drinks while eating the spicy food. It finally hit me. The boss is making money off the drinks. The 9 yuan crayfish are just a gimmick. Seeing me return to the table with an empty plate, Xiaoshui asked with a puzzled look, Su Xian, why aren't you eating? Is it not to your taste? I sighed in frustration and said, so annoying. My mom just called and said she booked a gastroscopy for tomorrow morning, telling me not to eat anything tonight. With that, I pretended to be angry and slammed my phone on the table. Xiaoshui glanced at me skeptically and said, Miss Su, you're not looking down on this little place and making up an excuse not to eat, are you? I got anxious immediately and said angrily, what nonsense are you talking about? I love eating crawfish the most, otherwise, I wouldn't have recommended this place. To make her believe me, I picked up my phone, turned on the speaker, and angrily called my mom. Mom, cancel the gastroscopy for tomorrow morning for me. I really want to eat crawfish tonight, and I'm going to eat it. On the other end of the line, my mom scolded, Su Xian, don't be stubborn, your stomach has never been good, and you must get checked tomorrow morning. If you don't listen to me and eat tonight, affecting tomorrow's exam, then I won't give you your living expenses this month. With that, she hung up. I cried in frustration and said pitifully, see, my mom has always been like this since I was little, always threatening me with my living expenses. Xiaoshui then comforted him, saying, all right, I was just joking with you. If you don't want to eat, then don't. Your own health is the most important thing. I pretended to look enviously at my classmates indulging themselves, while secretly keeping an eye on Xiaoshui's every move. These crayfish had been dead for several days, and Xiaoshui couldn't possibly be unaware of that. Soon, I discovered the trick. Xiaoshui only took the garlic-flavored ones from the corner every time she went to get crayfish. I immediately understood what was going on. The garlic-flavored crayfish were prepared very lightly, with even salt kept to a minimum, making them unappetizing to many. However, all these crayfish were fresh, so she dared to eat them. Suddenly, with a smack, a plate that Guohu was holding accidentally fell to the ground. The boss looked displeased and said regretfully, what a shame, such good food wasted. But Guohu was unhappy and questioned loudly, isn't this an all-you-can-eat deal? The crayfish that fell on the ground count as if I ate them. What do you mean by wasted? Xiaoshui quickly rushed out to explain. The boss didn't mean it that way. He's a straightforward man with a clumsy tongue. He just hates to waste food. After saying that, she discreetly tugged at the boss's sleeve and led him to the back. I pretended to need to use the restroom and secretly followed them, only to hear the boss scolding her, you little brat. How can that chubby classmate of yours eat so much? I counted, and he alone has devoured 12 plates. If he keeps this up, I'll be losing money. Xiaoshui made a shush gesture with her hand and advised, these are all dead shrimp. If you don't eat them, they'll only end up being thrown away. What are you feeling sorry for? The boss patted her on the head with satisfaction and said, you're right, these shrimp died 3 days ago. If you hadn't brought your classmates here to eat today, they probably would have been thrown out. I guess my money sending you to college wasn't wasted. You can come up with such a sneaky way to deal with the dead, stinky shrimp. Smart people really are something. Just from this round of drinks, we'll probably make 2,000 to 3,000. You should bring them here to spend more often. With that, he smugly started filling empty bottles with some colored water. I quickly snapped a photo of the scene, then acted as if I hadn't seen anything and returned to the table, watching helplessly as he stocked the fridge with case after case of drinks. From my observation, besides Xiaoshui, who only ate the garlic-flavored crayfish, the class monitor Yangqing also only ate the garlic-flavored ones because he said he couldn't handle spicy food. Seeing him about to drink a glass of iced cola, I quickly stopped him and said, you have a bad stomach, so you shouldn't drink cold stuff. Then I took a bottle of water out of my bag and handed it to him. The surrounding classmates immediately started teasing, ooh, looks like there's something going on between you two. Exactly, Su Xian, you're so concerned about the class monitor, are you two into each other? Oh wow, feeding him water, how come nobody else noticed that? Amid the laughter, Yangqing quickly turned red. He stammered, don't talk nonsense, school just started, and I've barely exchanged a few words with Su Xian, but as for what happens in the future, who can say? When Xiaoshui heard this, her expression suddenly changed. She quickly tried to defuse the situation, saying, exactly, we've only just met, how could anyone develop feelings so quickly? After saying that, she shyly peeled a crawfish for Yangqing. Wow, now I get it. So Xiaoshui has a crush on the class monitor. That explains why last time she was so hostile toward me, including the fact that Yangqing treated me a bit differently. In my previous life, when Xiaoshui was accusing me, Yangqing was the only one who stood up for me, but back then, to get back at me, Xiaoshui made baseless accusations that the class monitor was being biased, forcing him to pick a side. With no other choice, Yangqing went along and paid 9 yuan, though he later sent me a private message and transferred the rest of the money back. From this perspective, I stopped him from drinking that beverage, first, because I was afraid he might notice something unusual, and second, it could be considered saving him from a disaster soon. Everyone finished eating. Just as we were preparing to head back to school, Guohu suddenly clutched his stomach and shouted, "Wait for me, I need to use the restroom." Shinli frowned in confusion and said, "You didn't get an upset stomach from the food, did you? This crawfish." Before she could finish, Xiaoshui quickly explained, "Guohu ate a full 20 pounds of crawfish, even an iron stomach couldn't handle that much. Don't worry, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the crawfish." 10 minutes later, Guohu still hadn't come out. Everyone checked their phones and saw it was already 9 o'clock in the evening, so they hurried back to school at midnight. The class group chat suddenly received a message from the advisor. Classmate Guohu has been sent to the hospital for emergency treatment. After returning to the dormitory, his face turned pale and he kept vomiting. "What did you all eat at the restaurant today?" Everyone exclaimed in shock. "No way, that's serious. Damn, I've been having diarrhea ever since I got back." "No way. I just got back and had 2 bouts of it too, but I didn't dare say anything. I thought it was just me eating too much. My stomach is churning and aching. Oh my god, could it really be the crawfish?" The group chat instantly erupted. Shinli immediately added Xiaoshui and demanded, "Xiaoshui, don't you think you should come out and explain? Why are you playing dead now?" "No wonder my stomach fell off after I got back. I thought it was my period coming. Good thing I only ate a few. If I'd eaten more, I'd probably be in the hospital too." Class monitor Yangqing also chimed in anxiously, "Xiaoshui, you need to ask the boss what's going on." But Xiaoshui calmly replied, "Monitor, let me ask you, are you feeling any discomfort right now?" A few seconds later, Yangqing responded, "To be honest, I don't feel a thing." Now Xiaoshui had gained confidence and immediately fired back in the group. Everyone saw that, right? Both the class monitor and I ate it and had no issues. Why are you blaming the crayfish? Who knows what other junk you ate, and you just indiscriminately blame the crayfish. The poor crayfish is innocent. Okay, look at yourselves first. Shinli refused to back down and continued to question, "I don't care about others, but I only ate a few crayfish tonight, and my stomach is still uncomfortable. How do you explain that? I just don't get it. I only asked you to check with the boss if the crayfish was fresh and if he added anything weird. Why are you reacting so strongly? Are you in cahoots with that boss?" Xiaoshui was furious and lashed out in the group. "Shinli, are you out of your mind? That boss is just an honest farmer, selling at 9 yuan so everyone can eat their fill. How much profit can he make? Why are you slandering him like this? If I were in cahoots with him, I'd learn from Su Xian's family and be a crooked merchant, charging you all 199 each. That would be a gold mine." Then she immediately tagged me, "Tag Su Xian, tell me, am I right?" Hilarious. Xiaoshui is like a dead duck that's still hard-beaked. Without solid evidence, she won't admit it, but now isn't the time. The fire hasn't reached its peak yet, so I curled my lips and calmly replied, "You're right about everything, but everyone is indeed feeling unwell right now. Isn't it normal to ask you to check with the boss? You're the one in the class who knows the boss best. Asking won't cost you anything. Poisoning someone is no small matter. In serious cases, it could even lead to jail time." Seeing that I didn't defend myself, Xiaoshui got so angry that she sent a voice message in the group, blasting me, "Su Xian, are you out of your damn mind? What do you mean by poisoning someone? The hospital hasn't even released a conclusion yet, and you're already spreading rumors. Are you trying to drive that poor boss into a corner? Do you know how hard it is for him? One word of food poisoning from you could ruin his entire shop. How can you be so malicious?" I was stunned for a moment. Why did this sound so familiar? But in my past life, she had deliberately spread rumors to ruin my family's business. This time, I just questioned her a bit, and she lashed out like a mad dog. Sure enough, the whip doesn't hurt until it hits your own skin. Seeing us arguing endlessly in the group, the counselor quickly stepped in and said, "All right, stop arguing. We'll know the truth once the hospital results come out." Only then did the group fall silent. Soon I heard the door of the next dormitory open, and someone in slippers rushed out. Xiaoshui lived in the adjacent dorm, so I quickly got out of bed and followed, just in time to catch her making a phone call in the hallway. In the dim light, I turned on my phone's video recording. "Let's see how you talk your way out of this one this time." I saw Xiaoshui panic as she pulled out her phone and asked anxiously, "What's going on? How did our classmates end up in the hospital after eating? Tell me honestly. How long has that crayfish been dead?" After hearing the reply, Xiaoshui stumbled and nearly fell, her voice agitated. "Dad, Are you crazy? You dared to serve crayfish that had been dead for a week to my classmates. Are you deliberately trying to hurt them? Didn't I tell you to freeze the crayfish immediately after they die, so it wouldn't make much difference when eaten? I told you to buy another freezer, but you wouldn't listen. Now that there are so many dead ones, you just soaked them in water. How could you be so careless? Whatever was said on the other end of the line only made Xiaxue more furious. With tears in her voice, she shouted, "Are you out of your mind? You even bought the drink mix from street vendors. I told you I'd help you grow the family business, so why won't you trust me? If anything happens to my classmates, neither of us will get off easy. We might even end up in jail." With that, she hung up and crouched on the ground, crying. At 3 in the morning, the advisor sent another message. Student Guohu just passed away. His parents are on their way to the hospital. If any other classmates feel unwell, come to the hospital immediately for a checkup. Upon hearing the news, my heart still gave a sharp jolt. After all, someone had died, and the truth is, I could have prevented this tragedy, but in my previous life, Guohu had also hurled abuse at me in the group chat. He consumed 2 or 3 times his share, leaving my family unable to even cover the costs, yet he followed Xiaxue in posting online to slander my family in every way, calling us heartless, corrupt profiteers. After my death, he just casually scoffed, "Oh, the profiteer is dead, nothing worth pitying." Thinking about this, the last shred of compassion I had vanished, and I felt an inexplicable sense of satisfaction. By the time I snapped back to reality, the group chat had already been flooded with over 99 messages. Everyone was wailing and crying out, "Oh my God, someone died. What do we do now? Oh no, my roommate is unconscious and not waking up. Quick, call an ambulance for me. I'm stuck in the bathroom and can't get up. Help, why am I suddenly feeling weak all over too?" Realizing this was a mass poisoning incident, the counselor immediately called the principal. That night, all the ambulances in the city rushed to our school, one after another heading to the hospital, a truly spectacular sight. Seeing the 3 of us standing there as if nothing had happened, the counselor urged us, "You 3 get in the car and go to the hospital for a checkup right away." Xiaxue looked reluctant and said, "I'm fine, no need to go to the hospital." With that, she turned to head back to the dormitory. I grabbed her arm and shouted, "Xiaxue, why don't you take your own health seriously? The whole class is poisoned, and you ate the crawfish too. There's no way you're immune. Come with us to the hospital for a checkup." Trying to run at a critical moment like this, no way. I heard Guohu's parents are no pushovers. He's their only precious son, and if they find out it was your family's crawfish that killed him, they'll tear you apart alive. Thinking about this, I couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement, eager to see the drama unfold. Xiaxue naturally knew this, which is why she refused to get on the ambulance. In the end, Yangqing and I, under the guise of doing it for her own good, had to physically carry her onto it. At the hospital, many of our classmates' parents had already arrived. Seeing that the 3 of us were completely fine, Xinli yelled loudly, "Xiaxue, you troublemaker, you insisted on taking us to that 9 yuan all-you-can-eat crawfish place, claiming it was all natural and pollution-free, and now you've poisoned the entire class. Guohu only ate a few extra plates of crawfish and died of food poisoning. How are you going to pay for this, you murderer?" As soon as the words were spoken, a middle-aged couple suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Before anyone could react, Xiaxue was kicked to the ground by the man. Immediately after, the woman beside her frantically straddled her, slapping her wildly and cursing, "You little slut, give me back my son's life. If it weren't for you poor bastard insisting on eating that $9.99 buffet, my son wouldn't have been poisoned. You despicable dog, 10 of your lives aren't worth one of my son's. I'll kill you to avenge my son." With that, she glared with bloodshot eyes and viciously grabbed her by the throat. The counselor quickly stepped forward to pull them apart and pleaded, "Guohu's mother, please calm down. The results of the incident haven't come out yet." But the next second, the counselor was shoved hard by Guohu's father. He grabbed the counselor by the collar and roared, "My son just started college 2 days ago and now he's dead. How do you people manage the students? I'm not done with this school. I'll settle the score with you later. None of you are getting away, but today that little bitch Xiaxue must die. Anyone who stands in my way, I'll beat them. I advise you not to meddle." Faced with a man who was 9 meters tall and weighed 200 pounds, the counselor knew he was no match and dared not intervene further, leaving Guohu's mother to beat and kick her freely. The surrounding classmates were also terrified, and no one dared to call the police. It wasn't until the hospital security arrived, with 5 people struggling to pull him away, that the situation was contained. Guahu's father tried to fight back but was stopped by the police who had arrived. Xiaxue, bruised and bloodied, lay on the ground, weakly crying out, "Help me, save me." I couldn't help but curl my lips, deliberately giving her a provocative smile. Xiaxue quickly caught my gloating. After a few seconds of stunned silence, she suddenly seemed to figure something out, glaring at me with the same vicious look as in her past life, as if she wanted to tear me apart. Su Xin, you're the real murderer. You set this whole thing up. Xiaxue forced herself to get up and suddenly shouted at me. The surrounding classmates immediately turned their gazes toward me. I pretended to look innocent and said, "What are you talking about? What does this have to do with me? You chose the restaurant. You strongly recommended it to everyone. How can you blame me now that something went wrong?" Yangqing also defended me. "Exactly. What does this have to do with Su Xian? She's never even been to that place. You can't just throw all the blame on her." Xiaxue was trembling with rage, her voice shaking. "It's Su Xian. She orchestrated all of this. Don't you remember, when I suggested eating crawfish, she was the first to agree, and think about it, why is it that all of us ate the crawfish, but she didn't? She must have known in advance that something was wrong with the crawfish, so she deliberately avoided eating it." I spread my hands helplessly and said, "My mom told me last minute that she has a gastroscopy tomorrow morning and wouldn't let me eat. What could I do? Didn't you all hear it at the time? The way you're saying it makes it sound like I have the power to predict the future, like I knew in advance that this restaurant's crawfish had issues, so I staged this whole act with my mom for you all to see." Xiaxue was so angry her face and neck were flushed red. She pointed at my nose and cursed, "You bitch, it's like you knew all of this in advance and were just waiting for us to walk right into the trap." I was so mad I laughed, then slapped her across the face and snapped, "Xiaxue, are you suffering from some kind of delusion? You're going crazy and shifting all the blame onto me. Who is it that publicly called my whole family swindlers in class? Who stopped everyone from eating at my family's restaurant? Who swore up and down that these crawfish were all fresh and had no problems at all? Your filthy mouth is like something fished out of a sewer. I only went along with you to that restaurant because I didn't want to argue." At that moment, Xiaxue burst into hysterical laughter like she had gone mad. "I get it now. You've been reborn. You knew everything in advance." As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding onlookers couldn't help but cover their mouths and snicker. "Is this woman crazy? She looks like she just escaped from a mental hospital. Thinks she's in a novel, Rebirth. How ridiculous." Seeing that no one believed her, Xiaxue broke down and grabbed the police officer's arm hysterically, shouting, "Comrade officer, this is all Su Xian's setup. She deliberately made us eat crawfish and poisoned the whole class." The police officer naturally wouldn't believe her nonsense and immediately scolded coldly, "Xiaxue, stop talking nonsense. We will investigate and find out the truth." But Xiaxue refused to let it go and kept hurling insults at me. "This matter has gone far enough. It's time to stop." Calmly, I pulled a USB drive from my bag and handed it to the police officer. "Hello, the truth is all in here." To avoid tipping anyone off, I had to secretly record this as evidence. "Just play it, and you'll know the whole story from start to finish." The police officer took the USB drive and immediately plugged it into the large screen at the nurse's station. In the footage, Xiaxue and the boss Wang Chang were huddled together whispering in the kitchen. "The crayfish that have been dead for 3 days, just deep fry them repeatedly. Add all kinds of spices, and no one will be able to tell. This drink powder mixed with water really looks like the real deal. We've made thousands just from fake drinks. Your classmates are as stupid as pigs. How did they even get into college?" The next scene switched to the dormitory stairwell. Xiaxue was on the phone, looking panicked. "What's going on? My classmates got food poisoning. How could you leave the crayfish, which have been dead for a week, soaking in water instead of putting them in the fridge? What? The drink powder was also bought wholesale from a street stall. Are you trying to get me killed?" At that moment, everyone present was wide-eyed. They never expected that the crayfish shop owner was actually Xiaxue's father. This whole thing was a setup by Xiaxue to make money off everyone. The shop run by Xiaxue's family was the real shady joint, pure and simple profiteers. Snapping back to reality, Shinli jumped up and cursed, "Xiaxue, you beastly bastard. How could you come up with such a dirty trick? You're not just out to take our money, you want our lives too." Yangqing, his face dark with anger, roared, "Xiaxue, how could you do something like this for money? This is about people's lives. How could you lie and turn around to slander Su Xian? You're truly malicious." Seeing the boy she admired sneering at her, Xiaxue finally broke down. She slumped to the ground, sobbing loudly. "You think I wanted this? If you had my beast of a father, you'd do the same. My mother was beaten to death by that bastard just for giving birth to me, a daughter, but the villagers didn't dare call the police, so they said she died of illness. I've been beaten by that animal since I was little. I barely managed to coax him into letting me go to college, but now he's forcing me to find ways to make money for him, or else he won't let me study and will beat me to death. Why do you all get to live carefree lives from birth, growing up with a mother's love, while I have to tiptoe around him just to survive?" Then she turned to me, grinding her teeth, "And you especially, Suxian, why should you be born a little rich girl, favored in school, with classmates looking up to you just because your family has money? I can't stand people like you." I thought her tale of woe would earn everyone's sympathy, but not everyone is a saint, so why should they pay for her jealousy? I looked at her and said coldly, "Don't make excuses for your sins. Even those born into the worst circumstances can still grow toward the light, but your evil is innate, it's in your bones. You say your father forced you into this, but you're an adult and a college student. You had hundreds of ways to seek help and stop his crimes, yet you chose to be an accomplice. You brought this all on yourself." Xiaoshui wanted to say more, but was interrupted by Wang Chang, who was brought over by the police. "You bitch, if you dare slander me again, I'll kill you right now. You are the one behind all this. How dare you pin it on me?" He lunged at her as he spoke, watching the two of them tear into each other. The police had no choice but to take them away for interrogation. The mass poisoning of the entire class blew up, making it to the top of the national trending list the next day. 1 dead, 7 in a moderate coma, 39 with mild poisoning, and only 3 unaffected. The National Health Commission dispatched a special task force to investigate. In the end, Wang Chang was sentenced to death for producing and selling harmful food. Xiaoshui, as an accomplice, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The school also expelled her. Xiaoshui, unwilling to spend her prime years in prison, jumped from the school rooftop the night before her arrest. "After avenging myself, I applied to the school to switch majors, even though they didn't harm me in this life. They were all accomplices in the last one. I'm rather petty and can't bring myself to coexist peacefully with them. Anyway, I won't have any further dealings with these people from now on. What awaits me will be a bright future." After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. I am a non-marriage advocate, and I promised my little niece that after I pass away, my inheritance will be left to her. When my brother and sister-in-law found out, they were deeply moved, so when I bought the bag I had been longing for, my sister-in-law would say, "Little sister, you need to learn to save. How is a bag more convenient than a plastic bag? It's big and sturdy." When I took a break from work and bought coffee to refresh myself, my sister-in-law would say, "Can't you just drink more plain water? How much water could you buy with the cost of 1 cup of coffee?" As I was preparing to drive out for a trip, my sister-in-law couldn't take it anymore and stabbed a knife into my stomach, screaming in agony, "Will you die if you don't waste money all day long?" When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. "Little aunt, after you die, can you leave all your money to me?" A childish voice rang in my ear, and I was momentarily dazed before suddenly realizing that I had actually been reborn. In my previous life, I was a firm believer in staying single. My little niece Tiffany once asked me if she could inherit my money after I passed away. She was so well behaved and obedient, and considering that I had no plans to marry or have children, leaving my inheritance to her didn't seem like a bad idea. So, at the time, I smiled and agreed, but what I never expected was that from the very day I agreed, my life completely changed. I spent my own money to buy myself a Chanel bag, only to be criticized by my sister-in-law for being vain. I bought coffee to perk myself up, only to be lectured harshly by my sister-in-law again. She tried every possible way to stop me from spending too much, even when buying groceries. She made me ride a shared electric bike for an hour under the scorching sun to the cheapest market. I couldn't take it anymore and told my sister-in-law that I was spending my own money and that she should mind her own business, but she angrily scolded me for being shameless. Both my brother and my mother sided with my sister-in-law, taking turns to criticize me. "Your money will all belong to Tiffany in the future. How can you spend your little niece's money so freely and without a guilty conscience?" Even Tiffany herself agreed with this statement, pouting her little mouth and chiming in, "Auntie, you spend so much of your junior's money every month. Aren't you ashamed if word gets out?" I was shocked by what they said. I'm not even dead yet, and they already think every penny I spend is theirs. Shock, disappointment, and a sense of desolation rose from the depths of my heart, making me not want to stay in this home any longer. I was about to drive off for a road trip, but when I was on the phone with my best friend, my sister-in-law eavesdropped. She flew into a rage, grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed it into my stomach. After I died, my soul did not dissipate. I watched as my mother and brother worked together to fake my suicide, then casually threw my body into an unmarked burial ground. Afterwards, they used my money to live happily for the rest of their lives. I was filled with so much hatred, but heaven had eyes and actually gave me a chance to be reborn. Auntie, why aren't you paying attention to me? Seeing that I wasn't speaking, Tiffany reached out again. Shaking my arm and acting coquettish, I snapped back to reality and looked at the innocent face in front of me, immediately shaking off her hand. My money, why should I give it to you? Tiffany froze in place, but before she could react, a young woman sitting on the sofa stood up first, pointing at my nose and scolding, "Kathy, how can you talk like that? Is that any way for an aunt to behave? You don't have children. Are you really going to let all that money go to waste instead of giving it?" To Tiffany, what kind of aunt doesn't dote on her own niece? How can you be so selfish? The person who said this was my sister-in-law's younger sister, also Tiffany's aunt, Linda. She was indignant, putting on a righteous and heroic front, almost making me forget that she played a part in my death. Back then, after my sister-in-law stabbed me, I was still breathing and managed to dial 120 despite the pain, but Linda stepped on my hand, smashed my phone, and I lay on the ground unable to move. Eventually dying from excessive blood loss after my death, Linda also took a share of my money. I looked at her coldly. "You don't have any children either, do you? Can you give your money to Tiffany? Tiffany is also your niece." "What? Which aunt doesn't love her own niece these days?" Linda instinctively blurted out. "It's not my child, why should I give?" Before she could finish her sentence, Linda realized her mistake and quickly shut her mouth, glaring at me guiltily, the mockery in my eyes deepened. This woman is truly disgusting. In my previous life, Linda always loved coming to my house. She claimed to be a non-maritalist like me, but I only found out after I died. It turned out she had feelings for my brother. I glanced toward the slightly ajar door, behind which my sister-in-law was hiding, eavesdropping on our conversation. A faint smile curled at the corner of my lips. In this life, I will make sure these people pay the price. I didn't let go of the idea of leaving my future inheritance to Tiffany. During the meal, my sister-in-law Lucy sighed and said, "Tiffany's school is asking for document fees again. It's so expensive, over $5,000, and my salary for this month hasn't arrived yet." Beside her, my brother and my mother kept their heads down, eating their food without saying a word. Lucy said while staring straight at me. I sneered inwardly and pretended not to see. Continuing to eat my meal, Lucy repeated again, "Over $5,000, what should I do? What on earth should I do?" I still didn't say a word. Eating leisurely, Lucy couldn't hold back any longer and reached up to pinch Tiffany's arm. "You little brat, are you trying to fool me? What kind of material fee costs $5,000? I just realized it. I'm going to teach you a lesson today. You've learned to lie, haven't you?" Tiffany yelped in pain from the pinching. There was no material fee of $5,000, but there was a women's dress that cost $5,000. It's just sitting in Lucy's shopping cart on her phone. Lucy slapped Tiffany again and again, and Tiffany cried out to me for help. "Auntie, save me, save me." Tiffany isn't lying. I'm not lying. This is Lucy's usual tactic. In the past, if she ever wanted something, she would deliberately announce at the dinner table that Tiffany needed it, but she didn't have enough money. If I didn't speak up and offer, she would hit Tiffany every time. I felt sorry for my little niece. So even though I knew Lucy was lying, I didn't want Tiffany to get hurt and would give the money to Lucy. I never asked Tiffany for anything in return, but even so, in my past life, when Lucy and Linda caused my death, Tiffany stood not far away and watched it happen. I gave her a pleading look, but she simply turned her head away and pretended not to see. Tiffany tugged at my sleeve, tears streaming down her face pitifully. "Auntie, can you give me $5,000? I need to buy study materials." This time, I gently pushed her hand away and said with a smile, "Tiffany, your mom is right. You're attending a regular public middle school. How could study materials cost $5,000 all at once? Should I call your teacher to confirm it? Lying isn't something good kids do." As my words came out, the expressions of everyone present changed. I pretended to take out my phone, and Tiffany immediately panicked, instinctively lunging to snatch it. My brother, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up. "Enough. Why make a call? Aren't you afraid of troubling the teacher? Tiffany, go back to your room and reflect on your actions." Tiffany bit her lower lip, wiped her tears, and walked toward her room. Just before entering, she gave me a resentful look. Although I had long known Tiffany was an ungrateful wretch, that look still chilled my heart to the bone. Not getting the money, Lucy's expression turned sour, and the chopsticks in her hand were almost poking a hole through the bottom of the bowl. After a long while, just as I was about to finish eating and get up. She couldn't hold back and spoke to me. Kathy, it's not right for you to live at home every day. My sister is also a non-maritalist, but she pays rent every month she stays at home. So you, Lucy didn't finish her sentence, but I understood what she meant. My mom and my brother also looked up at me, clearly siding with Lucy. That really made me laugh. You should know, I bought this apartment outright, and the property deed is still in my name. My brother got married without a place to live, so out of family affection, I lent him the apartment for his marriage. Lucy knew about this, and now you're asking me for rent. That may be true, but didn't you lend it to your brother? Since you've lent it to him, during this time, the apartment belongs to your brother. Isn't it normal for you to pay rent? Lucy spoke with conviction, looking completely justified. If you don't want to pay rent, that's fine. Since you can live here for free, so can my sister. She's moving in tomorrow. Lucy's words made what I originally wanted to say get stuck in my throat. I raised an eyebrow, looked at Lucy, who was holding her head high, and smiled slightly. All right, this actually makes me look forward to it a bit. Linda moved in very quickly, settling into the empty bedroom in my house early the next morning. When I came home from work, I saw Tiffany snuggled in Linda's arms. When she saw me, Tiffany nestled even closer. Auntie, you're Tiffany's favorite person. Tiffany will definitely be very filial to you in the future. If anyone bullies you, Tiffany will never let them get away with it. Linda couldn't stop smiling. Tiffany is so sweet and sensible. Auntie loves you the most too. Come, give me a kiss. It felt like those words were deliberately said for me to hear. How could I not see through such a petty scheme? I ignored Tiffany and headed toward my room, but she blocked my way instead. Tiffany raised her little face, pouting with clear dissatisfaction. Auntie, your room is bigger than the guest room and decorated better too. You've lived here for so many years. Why don't you swap with Aunt Linda? It's her turn to have it. Hearing this, Linda beamed with joy. Oh, my dear niece really cares about me, so thoughtful and filial. I lowered my head and met Tiffany's gaze, a hint of mockery curling at the corner of my mouth. An ungrateful person can never be satisfied. The clothes and shoes you're wearing were all bought by me. You've been wearing them for so long, shouldn't you take them off and return them to me? And the watch on your wrist, the backpack and pencil case in the bedroom, I bought those too. When are you going to give them back? Tiffany choked up, her dark little face instantly showing a hint of grievance. She stomped her foot on the floor. Auntie, I hate you the most. Tiffany will never like you again. I sneered. How much is your liking even worth? Tiffany ran back to the bedroom, crying loudly, leaving Linda in the living room. Before she could voice her foolish remarks, I had already stepped into the bedroom. During dinner that evening, the matter was inevitably brought up again at the table. Tiffany, with tears welling up in her eyes, began to speak. Grandma, Mom and Dad, Auntie's words really hurt my feelings. I cried for a long time today and don't even feel like studying anymore. If this continues, it will definitely affect my exams. Auntie has been living with us for so long. And now that Aunt is here, can we ask her to move out? Let Aunt have her room. Aunt loves me, and seeing her fills me with motivation to study. My hand holding the chopsticks paused slightly, and a cold smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. But what I didn't expect was that Lucy, who was the first to suggest I move out yesterday, actually slapped Tiffany after hearing her words. Ungrateful daughter, what nonsense are you talking? Your aunt has been so good to you, and you want to kick her out? Me, I narrowed my eyes slightly. Tiffany looked at Lucy in disbelief, and Linda was also full of confusion. Sis, why did you hit Tiffany? She deserved it. Lucy kept poking Tiffany's forehead. All the clothes and shoes you're wearing were bought by your aunt. Whenever there's something delicious, your aunt always thinks of you. She attends your parent-teacher meetings and takes you out to have fun. Is this how you repay your aunt? You ungrateful brat. After scolding Tiffany, Lucy turned to me with a beaming smile. Kathy, I was a bit harsh with my words earlier. Don't be upset. You've been living here for so long. There's no need to move out. Stay as long as you want. I retorted directly. This is my house to begin with. If I can't live here as I please, then who can? Lucy didn't respond but continued. Tiffany was being immature before, asking you for the inheritance. I've already scolded her. She's just a girl, and once she gets married, she'll be like water spilled on the ground. How could the Santos family inheritance possibly be given to her? Hearing Lucy say this, I instantly understood what she was trying to do. Lucy touched her belly, a smile playing at the corners of her lips. I have some good news I haven't shared with everyone yet. I'm pregnant. I went to the doctor today, and they said I'm already 2 months along. John found a fortune teller for me, and they predicted that this baby is a boy. John is my brother's name. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone except him, my mom, Linda, and Tiffany, had a change in expression. My mom was thrilled. Really, that's wonderful, wonderful. The Santos family will have an heir. Tiffany and Linda turned pale. Tiffany was already in her second year of middle school, not exactly grown up, but not exactly a child either. Her lips trembled. Linda was much better at hiding it than Tiffany. On the surface, she also showed delight, but upon closer inspection, one could see that her hand gripping the chopsticks had turned white. In her previous life, it was indeed today that Lucy announced she was pregnant with her second child. I curved my lips slightly and said, "Congratulations, sister-in-law. Now you have both a son and a daughter, and in the future, you and my brother will surely be even more deeply in love." As I spoke, Linda's face turned even paler. My brother burst into loud laughter, looking extremely happy at this time. My mother was the first to speak. "Kathy, your sister-in-law is right. Tiffany is a girl, and leaving your inheritance to her would only benefit outsiders, but once your little nephew is born, it's different. You must save everything for your little nephew. In my previous life, it was because of the child in Lucy's womb that when I was stabbed to death, my mother stood by my brother's side. I calmly ate my meal, and when Lucy saw that I didn't respond, her expression cooled slightly. "Kathy, no matter what, this is your own nephew. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to have no reaction at all?" I had eaten enough. I put down my chopsticks. "Don't worry, there will be plenty, not only for him, but for you too, sister-in-law." Lucy beamed with joy. "Kathy is so thoughtful, knowing that your sister-in-law has been working hard carrying a child for the Santos family." I also smiled along. I hope Lucy will still be able to smile by then. After Lucy became pregnant, John spoiled her beyond measure, treating her like a precious gem to be cherished. Seeing this made Linda's expression even worse. Every time she saw Lucy's eyes, they revealed both envy and jealousy, yet Lucy, completely unaware, would often sit on the sofa, pull Linda close, and talk to her about her and John. "Ever since I got pregnant, I've been craving sour things. I just mentioned once that I wanted cherries, and John went out in the middle of the night to buy them for me. He even bought so many that I could eat my fill for days. I said my clothes were getting too small, and without a word, he transferred me $5,000 to buy new clothes and shoes. John also said that next month, after he gets his paycheck, he'll buy me the Chanel bag I've had my eye on, as a reward for my pregnancy." Linda gritted her teeth so hard they nearly cracked, yet she had no choice but to force a smile and praise her brother-in-law for being so considerate and caring. "My best friend invited me to go out and travel for a few days tomorrow. Once my belly gets bigger in a while, I won't be able to go out anymore." Lucy's words made me raise my eyebrows slightly. Linda couldn't wait to ask, "Sis, when are you going out? How many days will you be gone?" "I'm leaving the day after tomorrow, and I'll be out for a week." Linda's breathing visibly quickened. "That's great, sis. While you're still in the early stages of pregnancy, it's good to go out and have some fun in moderation. Just be careful and stay safe." Lucy smiled with a look of happiness. Tiffany stood not far away, hesitated for a moment, and then walked up to Linda. "Mom, my summer vacation has started. Can I go have fun with you?" Tiffany's face was full of anticipation, while Lucy frowned. "What are you going out to play for? A little girl like you, every extra person means more money spent. Your brother is about to be born, and there will be more and more expenses. Why don't you ever think about your brother? So selfish. You're going to take the college entrance exam next year. Why don't you focus on studying hard? If you have a future later on, your brother will be counting on you." As Lucy spoke, she pinched Tiffany's face, making Tiffany cry out in pain. She looked at me with pleading eyes. I sat on the sofa, holding a teacup, calmly sipping my tea, until Tiffany's face turned red. Lucy released her grip. After Lucy left, Tiffany threw herself into Linda's arms and cried loudly. Linda patted her back without saying a word, seeming somewhat absent-minded. After Tiffany had cried her fill, she looked at me with a tear-streaked face and sniffled. "Auntie, can you take Tiffany out to play? Tiffany wants to go traveling too." I sneered and put down the cup in my hand. On this day in my previous life, hearing Lucy's such strong preference for sons over daughters, I argued with Lucy for Tiffany's sake. Later, I took Tiffany out to play for the entire summer vacation. "Tiffany, your mom is right. Going out to play costs money. Your brother is about to be born, and everything has to be prioritized for him. You should be more sensible and just focus on studying. In the future, when it comes to your brother buying a car, a house, or getting married, you'll have to be the one to make the decisions." After saying that, I couldn't help but laugh. "Ungrateful wretch, I treated you well in my past life, and this is how you repay me in this life. You'll get exactly what you deserve." Tiffany could no longer hold back and burst into loud sobs, but no one paid her any attention. The day before Lucy left, I went to see my mom. I told her I had signed her up for a tour group, and her departure date was the same as Lucy's. My mom was overjoyed. "Oh, my dear daughter is so filial. It's no wonder I've always doted on you so much." After my mom and Lucy left, I installed hidden cameras at home. After doing all this, I deliberately told them in the family group chat that I was going on a business trip and wouldn't be home for the next few days. Linda is also in this group. Not long after I sent the message, Linda privately messaged me, asking me specifically which day I would be back. I replied, 1 week later. So, on the day my mom and Lucy left, I also left home. At that time, only my brother, Linda, and Tiffany remained at home. After leaving home, I found a hotel and lay down. The business trip was fake. Giving Linda space was the real reason. I took out my phone to check the surveillance footage, and through the video, I could see that Linda always found excuses to send Tiffany away, telling her to go study with her classmates. This way, only she and my brother were left at home. First, she went to the kitchen to get water and accidentally twisted her ankle, falling onto my brother. Once again, I forgot to bring my change of clothes while taking a shower, so I asked my brother for help. Linda is naturally more petite than Lucy, and every time she looks at my brother, her eyes are filled with tender affection, making her appear delicate and easily evoking a man's protective instincts. My brother is no saint either. After a few interactions, he ended up getting involved with Linda. With no one at home, the two of them even kissed openly in the living room. Linda was even acting coquettishly with John, insisting that he give her a good morning kiss and a good night kiss every day. A week later, everyone who was supposed to return had come back. Linda had already cleaned the entire house from top to bottom. Early in the morning, my mom came back earlier than Lucy. As soon as Linda saw my mom, she immediately went up to massage her arms and legs, asking her with concern, "Auntie, are you tired from your trip?" I thought, since Auntie is coming back today, I cleaned the entire house from top to bottom so that Auntie would feel happy when she sees it. I also bought a lot of delicious food to cook for Auntie at noon. My mom was overjoyed by Linda's flattery. Lucy happened to overhear all of this when she came back. She smiled and said, "My sister is so considerate." After saying that, she looked at me again. "Kathy, my best friend is also pregnant." When I went out with her this time, she told me that her sister-in-law bought her a car right after she got pregnant, to make it easier for her to get around. It wasn't too expensive, just 200,000 or 300,000. "You mentioned before that you wanted to give me a gift, right? Well, I don't have high expectations, just get me a car. I've always wanted my own car for convenience. With a car, I wouldn't have to squeeze into the subway with your little nephew anymore." I replied, "I've already prepared a gift for you." "What is it?" I smiled slightly. "You'll find out in a few days." Lucy rolled her eyes. "Then this car, you should give it to your sister-in-law too." My best friend said her sister-in-law sends her a gift every month during her pregnancy, to reward her for the hardships of being pregnant. Tisk, you're so envious of your best friend. I heard your best friend had an affair with a wealthy bachelor while married, and the child she's carrying is his. She got divorced after being found out. Sister-in-law, are you trying to follow in your best friend's footsteps? Before my sister-in-law could finish speaking, my mother's face instantly changed. She widened her eyes and threw her slipper right at Lucy's feet. "How dare you?" She has always despised people who cheat in marriage, because back in the day, my father did the same thing and she caught him in the act, leading to their divorce. Lucy stood there, scolded and not daring to speak, only able to glare at me with resentment. It wasn't until dinner time, when Lucy noticed the gold necklace around Linda's neck, that she shifted her resentful gaze away from me and asked Linda in surprise, "Linda, where did you get this necklace? I haven't seen you wear it before." Lucy's voice caught the attention of several people who turned to look. Linda's face flushed slightly as she glanced at my brother, then she spoke somewhat shyly. "My college classmate gave it to me." "Why would your college classmate give you this?" Lucy was puzzled, but when she saw Linda's slightly flushed cheeks, she understood. She looked at Linda with a teasing expression. "He's pursuing you." "What? Is Linda thinking about getting married?" "Getting married is fine. Unlike some people who claim to be non-maritalists, shamelessly living with their parents' family without contributing anything. When she gets old in the future, who will take care of her? Maybe her nephew from her maiden family will. But who knows if she'll leave her inheritance to her own nephew or not?" Linda chimed in, echoing the sentiment. "If she doesn't give it to her own nephew, is she just going to throw it away? Anyone with half a brain knows to take care of their own nephew." "Exactly. Let's eat, let's eat." Listening to their conversation, I didn't say anything, but after dinner, I quietly slipped the shopping receipt my brother had thrown away back into the pocket of his pajamas hanging on the balcony to dry. Returning to the bedroom and opening my phone, I saw Lucy's text message. "Kathy, I've given birth to children 4. You're Santos family, you keep saying you're going to give me a gift, but you still haven't produced it. Who knows if you're just deceiving me? I don't want anything else. Just give me a gold necklace too. No, just a necklace isn't enough. I also want a bracelet. If you don't give these little things, when your little nephew is born in the future, I'll tell him how heartless and ungrateful his aunt is. You don't want your little nephew to hold a grudge against you in the future, do you? A slight smile curled at the corner of my lips. I replied to Lucy's message. Sister-in-law, the gift I prepared for you will be given to you tomorrow. It's definitely more valuable than the gold necklace and gold bracelet you asked for. Early the next morning, Lucy came knocking on my bedroom door. Where's the gift? Didn't you say you'd give it to me today? Don't rush, sister-in-law. Let me get out of bed first. I walked out of the bedroom and looked around the room. My mom was already up. She has a habit of going out to exercise every morning. I shouted loudly, Sis, let's go. I'll show you the gift I prepared for you. After saying that, Lucy and I left the house. When I closed the door, I made sure to slam it loudly so that the people inside could hear. When I reached the entrance of the neighborhood, I glanced at my phone's surveillance feed, stopped in my tracks, and said to Lucy, Sis, I just remembered I forgot something. I need to go back and get it. After saying that, without waiting for Lucy to react, I turned around and hurried off. Lucy was taken aback for a moment, then quickly chased after me. Kathy, what do you mean? What did you forget? You're not having second thoughts, are you? I ignored her and walked quickly, while Lucy, with wide eyes, swiftly followed behind me. Don't even think about leaving me outside. I want to see what you forgot to take. My door uses fingerprint unlocking. The unlocking sound was very faint. The moment the door was pulled open, Linda was seen leaning against John. Kathy, you little bitch, you've worn me out. If you dare lie to me. Lucy was cursing at me, but when she saw the scene inside the room, she froze for a moment, then let out a scream. What are you doing? Linda and John didn't expect Lucy to suddenly return, and both of them looked a bit flustered. Linda quickly got up from John. Sis, I just had a leg cramp while walking, twisted my ankle, and almost fell. Brother-in-law happened to see me and helped me up. John nodded, agreeing with Linda's words. Lucy looked suspicious, but she wasn't as agitated as before. Before she could speak, I took the lead and said, Is that so? Linda, you said you sprained your leg, so how come you're standing perfectly fine now? It doesn't look like you're injured at all. With that one sentence, the expressions of everyone present changed. No woman would fail to overthink when seeing another woman leaning so intimately against her husband, especially since it's her own sister. Lucy immediately walked over to Linda, bent down, and tried to look at her foot. Linda was ruthless too. Before Lucy could touch her foot, she moved, deliberately twisting her ankle hard. She let out a painful scream, making it impossible to verify the truth, but it was this scream she let out that made John instinctively reach out to steady her. Linda's hand tugged at the pocket of John's pajamas, and an invoice fell out, fluttering to the ground. Neither Linda nor John realized what the invoice was, but Lucy picked it up first. The invoice listed the brand name of the gold, along with the weight and style. It perfectly matched the necklace around Linda's neck. At this point, what else could Lucy not understand? She immediately slapped Linda across the face. You bitch, you're my own sister. How dare you seduce your brother-in-law? And he even bought you a gold necklace. I'm so mad. He's never bought one for me. The door was left open, and all the neighbors passing by curiously peeked inside. At this point, my brother couldn't save face anymore, his expression turning ashen. Lucy, what nonsense are you spouting? What's gotten into you? How could you hit someone? He reached out and grabbed Lucy's wrist, shielding Linda behind him. I'm going crazy. She's flirting with my husband. Why can't I hit her? I'm so angry. That bitch. My mom came back at this moment, and Tiffany, hearing the commotion, also came out of the bedroom after understanding the whole story. My mom's expression was quite something, but when she saw Lucy slap her son across the face, my mother couldn't sit still and reached out to push Lucy. Lucy stepped on a toy car and fell directly to the ground. Blood flowed down between her legs. The scene happened somewhat suddenly, and both my mother and my brother froze for a moment. Then my mother screamed, My grandson, oh my grandson, quick, to the hospital, to the hospital. John hurriedly carried Lucy and ran toward the hospital, with my mother following closely behind. Linda hesitated for a moment where she stood, then limped along after them. Just before stepping out, I turned and glanced back into the room, just in time to see Tiffany pick up the toy car from the ground and calmly put it in her pocket. When they arrived at the hospital, Lucy's child could not be saved. She lay on the hospital bed, screaming that she wanted my mother to pay for her child and threatening to call the police to have my mother arrested. My mother turned pale. I only gave her a light push. She lost her balance on her Own, it has nothing to do with me, John. Are you even a man? You and that bitch betrayed me, and now that your son is gone, you have nothing to say. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police, Lucy yelled and immediately reached for her phone to call the police. My mom tried to stop her, but someone was faster. It was Linda. She was the first to slap Lucy across the face. You're going too far, sister. You fell and lost the baby yourself. How can you blame Auntie for it? The hospital room fell silent for a moment, then erupted with Lucy's piercing screams. You bitch, you're my sister. How could you do this to me? You deserve to die, you deserve to die. After hearing what Linda said, my mother actually calmed down, but thinking about her grandson being gone, my mother's face was full of heartache, but Linda showed a shy expression. Auntie, I'm pregnant. My mother widened her eyes, and John also looked surprised. This is John's, Linda nodded, but Auntie, if this child is born, wouldn't it only be considered illegitimate? My mother frowned and remained silent. Lucy, lying on the hospital bed, was so angry she couldn't catch her breath, her face turning purple. Just then Linda spoke again. I also consulted a fortune teller, who predicted that this pregnancy will be a boy. Even if it's not, I'm still young. I can give June more children in the future, and we'll eventually have both a boy and a girl, but it's different for my sister. This miscarriage, combined with the emotional roller coaster, has damaged her health. The doctor said she might have difficulty getting pregnant in the future. Hearing this, my mother gritted her teeth and said, John and Lucy must divorce. John was initially somewhat unwilling to get a divorce. After all, he had been married to Lucy for so many years, but Lucy had lost her child and was betrayed by both her husband and her sister, which made her so angry that she would curse at John whenever she saw him, and Linda, being gentle and delicate, was more likely to evoke a man's protective instincts. In comparison, John ultimately chose to divorce Lucy. This infuriated Lucy so much that she grabbed a knife and went straight for Linda, intending to stab her. Linda was also ruthless and immediately called the police, sending Lucy to the station. On the day Lucy was imprisoned, Linda deliberately went to visit her, holding Tiffany's hand. You wretched girl, how dare you be so close to that bitch? I'm your mother. Linda's eyes were red with anger. Tiffany nestled against Linda and said to Lucy, From now on, Auntie is my mother. Linda couldn't stop smiling as she gently stroked her belly and said, Sister, from now on, I'll take good care of your daughter and your husband for you. After saying that, Linda happily tipped Tiffany's hand and left. After they left, I also walked into the police station. Time flew by, and after Linda gave birth, it turned out to be a boy. My mom was so happy she couldn't stop smiling. To better take care of Jack from the Santos family, Linda suggested hiring a nanny. The cost of the nanny should be covered by Jack's aunt. My mom came to talk to me about this matter. You don't have any children of your own. If you treat Jack well now, he will be filial to you in the future. I sneered and agreed without hesitation. The nanny arrived very quickly. She was wearing a hat, and her clothes were somewhat shabby. When she arrived at my home, Linda was sitting on the sofa, holding the child. When she saw the nanny, she frowned slightly. So unfashionable. Can she really educate my child? The nanny didn't say a word but took a step closer to Linda. Linda wanted to say something more, but before she could finish her sentence, a knife was brutally plunged into her abdomen. I raised you myself, so do you think I can raise your child well? Under the hat, Lucy's sinister face was revealed. Linda opened her mouth to speak, but Lucy stabbed her again. Didn't expect it, did you? I behaved well in prison and got out early. Lucy stood over Linda, watching her slowly lose blood. Before dying, Linda looked in one direction, crying out, Save me. Following Linda's gaze, I saw Tiffany standing not far away. Her face was cold, her expression showed no fluctuation, and she made no move. The year Lucy went to prison, Linda treated Tiffany better than Lucy had, though not as well as she treated Jack. I can only say, an ungrateful person is truly ungrateful. After Linda died, Lucy did not stop. She dragged Linda into the bedroom and hid her, then sat in the bedroom waiting for John. My mother came back from outside and happened to see Lucy stabbing an unsuspecting John in the stomach. She let out a piercing scream. Lucy tried to chase after her but couldn't catch up. My mother brought the police, and Lucy presented her psychiatric disorder certificate. In the end, she was acquitted but was sent to a mental hospital. As Lucy passed by me, she lowered her voice and said, You promised to get me out of the mental hospital, don't forget. I smiled slightly and said, What are you talking about? If you're sick, you should get proper treatment in the hospital. A mental hospital is much more torturous than a prison. Linda widened her eyes, then struggled and screamed, You lied to me. You actually lied to me, you bitch. Linda screamed, saying many things, but who would believe the words of a mentally ill person? My mother seemed to have aged 10 years overnight. She sat in the living room for a long time, and finally, holding Jack, she looked at me with tear-filled eyes and said, "My daughter, from now on, I only have you." I smiled slightly and said, "All right." I bought a lot of things for my mom, although my mother was deeply saddened by the loss of her son. Seeing that her grandson was still there and her daughter was sensible and filial, she quickly shifted her focus, of course, when it came to Jack and Tiffany. My mother was still extremely biased. She would occasionally brainwash me. "Kathy, I'm getting older. If I'm not around in the future, your little nephew will have to rely on you, and when you pass away, don't let your inheritance go to waste." I could tolerate it, but several times, I saw hatred in Tiffany's eyes when she looked at my mom and Jack. Finally, on the night Tiffany came of age, without me there to stop her, my mom fell down the stairs and never woke up. No one knew whether she had fallen accidentally or by mishap, but from that day on, Tiffany leaned on my shoulder and said, "Auntie, let's forget about Jack, okay? That way, from now on, I'll be your only family, and you'll be my only family. After all, Tiffany helped you get your revenge. Do you know, I was actually reborn. In my past life, you were killed by my mom and my aunt. It was Grandma who decided to throw you into a mass grave, testified publicly that you committed suicide, and let the murderers roam free." After hearing all this, "Do you hate him?" I smiled and said, "Of course I do." "When did you roughly find out that Tiffany had also been reborn?" "It was when that toy car appeared. Although Tiffany is an ungrateful wretch, she is still a child after all. After I was reborn, her personality remained the same as in her previous life, with no significant changes, harming her own brother. At her current age and with her personality, she wouldn't dare, if her personality suddenly undergoes a major change. It can only mean that, sometime after I was reborn, she was reborn as well. The reborn Tiffany is no longer a child in terms of mental age, so I bought a lot of things for my mom and told her that from now on, she would be my only family. I would treat her well, and all the inheritance would be left to Jack, as she wished. How could Tiffany not be tempted after being reborn? Under Tiffany's horrified gaze, I handed the surveillance video to the police. I didn't lay a finger on Jack. In her previous life, Linda also hooked up with my brother and gave birth to Jack, but it was never made public. I only found out after I died. Jack didn't turn out badly. Instead, he was kind-hearted, well-behaved, and sensible. In this life, I planned to raise him by my side. At this point, everything was settled. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister-in-law brought me back a bottle of spring water from her trip, claiming it was sacred water from the snowy mountains, imbued with spiritual energy, and hoping it would help me conceive successfully. I thought it was just ordinary mineral water bought at the scenic spot, but shortly after drinking it, I suffered a massive hemorrhage due to an echinococcus infection. Not only did I lose the child I had worked so hard to conceive, but I also lost the ability to have children of my own. Seeing my situation, my brother and sister-in-law pretended to be sympathetic and offered to let me adopt their nephew. I raised my nephew with great care, yet he poisoned me and my husband. It was only after I died that I learned the holy water my sister-in-law brought me was just randomly scooped from a roadside stream, and my brother, fully aware that the water likely contained echinococcus, still urged me to drink it. As for later persuading me to adopt my nephew, it was all part of their meticulous scheme, aimed at seizing all of my husband's family fortune. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister-in-law brought me the spring water. I was reborn and returned to the day my brother and sister-in-law came back from their trip. My brother and sister-in-law took out various small items they had bought at the tourist center and gave them to my parents, making them beam with joy. The two were praised to the skies by my parents, and just like in my previous life, my sister-in-law Lily took a bottle of mineral water from her bag and walked toward me. "Sis, this is the gift we brought back for you. Don't think it's just a bottle of mineral water. David and I climbed up the mountain to get this for you from the temple. The locals say the spring water is really effective. I just hope you get what you wish for and soon have a little baby like us." My husband and I have been married for 8 years. Before, we were busy with our careers, so we didn't plan to have children. Now that our careers have stabilized over the past 2 years, we've been trying to have a child, but it just hasn't happened. My parents have often scolded me for this, saying it's because I didn't have children at the right age, always stubborn and unwilling to listen to advice, and now I deserve to suffer. They also frequently find all sorts of folk remedies for having children, making me eat many strange things, afraid that Harry would divorce me because I couldn't bear a child. Although Harry doesn't have much of an obsession with it and instead feels sorry for me being tormented and pressured by my mother like this, he has refused many times. My mother still does as she pleases, using the excuse of doing what's best for me to interfere in my life every now and then. In my previous life, I thought she interfered with my life because she cared about me, but after being reborn, I realized it wasn't that she cared about me, she just didn't dare offend Harry. After all, when Harry married me, he gave a dowry of $800,000. All that money went into my parents' pockets, and now it's probably become the down payment for David James's new house. She has to fawn over her wealthy son-in-law, doesn't she? As for me, I'm just an accessory to highlight her value. Now that Harry hasn't arrived yet, she couldn't sit still when she heard that my sister-in-law had climbed the mountain to fetch mineral water for me. You're really something. Your sister's condition isn't something that just happened overnight. You're already 5 months pregnant. Why are you still climbing mountains? If something happens, what will David and the rest of us do? As she spoke, she checked my sister-in-law Lily up and down, then turned back to scold me. Look at you, a woman. Isn't pregnancy as easy as drinking water? I told you to have a child earlier, but you kept refusing this and that. Now you've got everyone worrying about you. Luckily, Lily is fine. Otherwise, I looked at her with a half smile, half sneer. Perhaps because my expression was different from the usual guilt I showed when she scolded me, my mother didn't finish what she wanted to say. Instead, she reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, her voice sharp as she shouted, "What kind of expression is that? I'm only saying all this for your own good. Have you even looked at yourself, at your age? If you can't have a child in the next couple of years, do you think Harry will still want you?" I shrugged and stood up. Mom, I've told you many times, having a child isn't just one person's responsibility. If Harry divorces me just because I can't have children, then he's not the right person for me. If he wants a divorce, so be it. Do you think I can't go on living without him? My words clearly struck a nerve. She raised her hand as if to slap me, but I dodged to the side and avoided it. Her hand landed on empty air, and she ended up slapping her own thigh instead, wailing, "What did I do to deserve this? To have such an ungrateful daughter? Do you think you're so capable? If you get divorced, you'll be a second-hand woman who would want a used shoe like you're not having kids, and you think you're something special. Wait till you marry a divorced man and still can't have children. See if he doesn't beat you to death. Just wait and see. If you still can't have kids in a couple of years, let's see if the Lewis family still wants you." She started going crazy again, creating anxiety for me. My brother and Lily quickly went to pull her aside to comfort her. My father also looked at me disapprovingly. He was about to say something to me, but I just grabbed my bag and walked out. Ignoring him, he froze for a moment, exchanged a glance with my mom, and both of them were completely baffled. They probably realized I was genuinely angry and about to leave, but since the purpose of calling me back today hadn't been achieved, if I left, their hopes would be dashed. So, their silent communication was flying back and forth, but Lily reacted quickly. Just as I reached the door, she hurried over and said, "Sis, Mom didn't mean it that way. She's just really worried about you." My brother also quickly came over and grabbed my arm, saying, "Sis, Mom is just going through menopause. Don't take it to heart. It's rare for you to come back. We haven't even had a proper chat yet." I glanced at him twice, and at that moment, my mother, who had just been hysterical, rushed over. "I'm saying all this for your own good," you stormed out without a second thought. "Has your conscience been eaten by a dog?" Not wanting to hear any more of her words, I opened the door to leave. Seeing her adding fuel to the fire, my father quickly interrupted her. "Just shut up. Why do you have to say all that when everything was fine?" David James noticed I was about to leave, and his eyes lit up with an idea. He took the bottle of water from Lily and handed it to me. "I know you don't need money now, and you probably wouldn't appreciate any other gifts. This water, Lily prayed for it at the temple for a long time. It's a token of our sincerity, so please accept it." I glanced at the mineral water in his hand but didn't take it. "The cap has been opened. Could this be something you've already drunk from, or did you fill the bottle with tap water outside?" David James and Lily exchanged a fleeting glance, which I pretended not to notice. In my previous life, I had similar concerns, but I never imagined they could be this malicious. Now, Lily snapped back to reality and, just like in the previous life, explained with a pitiful tone, "Sister, please don't misunderstand. We only managed to get this one bottle of water, and I poured a little out for our parents, hoping they would stay healthy. Since you're unwilling to accept it, then let's just forget it." She never explained the source of the water from start to finish, while David James put on a disappointed expression, as if I were being ungrateful. In my previous life, when they acted like this, I felt a bit guilty. Coupled with my parents' constant nagging, I took a couple of sips on the spot just to have some peace and not hurt David James's feelings, which finally made them all beam with joy. But this time, I wasn't falling for it. In that case, save some for your parents too, or just keep it all for your elders. As soon as my mom saw her son and daughter-in-law's good intentions being wasted by me, she immediately rushed over to set things right, but my dad, wary of my sudden departure, stopped her. Your brother and his wife mean well, whether you drink it or not is secondary. The main thing is you should know he thinks of you as his sister, no matter where he goes, thinking of me by bringing me a bottle of roadside puddle water, I sneered, still refusing to take David James's water. In my past life, after I died, I heard Lily and David James lamenting my life. Back then when you said there might be tapeworm eggs in that water, I didn't believe it. Later, when your sister got sick, it really scared me, but it was just her bad luck. She happened to be pregnant at the time. Sigh, it really was her bad luck. I just wanted to test it, to see if it was as mysterious as they said, if just drinking the water could cause an infection. I never expected her to be so unlucky. Do you think she'll come after me for revenge? What does it have to do with you? We didn't do it on purpose back then. Besides, if she hadn't been unable to have children, she wouldn't have adopted Carl, and we wouldn't be living the life we have now. If anyone's to blame, it's her own bad luck, right? It's just her bad luck, you child. How can you speak like that? What's wrong with a bottle of water? Didn't they carry it all the way back from afar? He has this intention. What more could you possibly want? My dad, on the other hand, was quite protective of David James. I went along with his words and said, well, I appreciate the thought, but you can keep the water for yourselves. My mom couldn't hold back and got angry. How can you be so ungrateful? That was at least a kind gesture from your brother and his family. With that attitude, it's no wonder you can't get pregnant. Seeing me heading out again, she immediately rushed over. You can't leave. In an attempt to keep me, she roughly snatched my bag, but I quickly dodged her. Based on what happened in my previous life, I am already pregnant by now. To prevent my mother from acting impulsively and accidentally harming me, I decided to wait for Harry to arrive before leaving. At that moment, David James and Lily quickly half supported me to sit on the sofa. Sis, don't be angry. Mom didn't mean it that way. She's just too worried about us. My mom locked my bag in her room, then turned around and scolded me again. That nasty temper of yours is all because Harry has spoiled you too much. Lily went out of her way to pray for blessings for you, and you act like this. Who do you think you're looking down on? You can't even take a little criticism. Fine, go ahead, leave. If you have the guts, don't ever come back. My mom is the type who bullies the weak but fears the strong, but I don't fall into either category. She can handle me whether I'm soft or tough. After all, whether I'm right or wrong, she can kneel before me, kowtow, and say that giving birth to me was her mistake, that she's sorry, and ask if I won't be satisfied until she pays with her life. And I can't actually take her life, so even when I'm right, I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, it's even worse. But after my past life, I've already repaid her with my life. In this life, whether she lives or dies is entirely up to her. I have no say in it. I let her words go in one ear and out the other as she scolded me for a long time. Finally, she softened her tone a bit. Don't you think I'm saying all this for your own good? Your brother and Lily have done so much because they care about you as their sister. Otherwise, why would they go out of their way to get the spiritual spring water for you instead of me? People should learn to be content and not be obsessed with money all the time. You should feel fortunate to have such a family. I sneered inwardly. If David and James truly cared about me, they wouldn't have brought me a bottle of mineral water full of germs, drinking that could either kill me or strip me of a layer of skin. Whoever wants that kind of fortune can have it. I didn't feel like arguing with her any further. I figured Harry would be coming to pick me up soon, so I just gave a few non-committal ahas. In response, she took that as a sign that I had been persuaded and brought up the topic she had mentioned earlier. So, about your brother's mortgage that I talked to you about before, have you given it any thought? David James said his mortgage payments were a big burden after buying a house, so my mom asked me to lend him some money to pay off the loan, and then he could pay me back slowly. In my past life, my mom kept bringing this up with me over and over, and I eventually gave in and gave the money to David James, but this time around, there's no such luck. I flat out refused. No, my mom probably didn't expect me, who had seemed somewhat open to the idea before, to reject her so firmly. Just as she was about to lose her temper, the doorbell rang. Lily hurried to open the door and sweetly called out, "Brother-in-law, you're here, come on in, it's so hot outside." Harry gave her a polite but distant smile, while my parents and David James warmly greeted him as well. My mom said, "You didn't have to bring anything." My dad added, "We're all family, why so formal?" The two of them kept talking while still accepting Harry's gifts without pause. David James looked at the boxes of sea cucumbers, birds' nests, and cordyceps and couldn't help but exclaim, "Brother-in-law, these are all high-quality items. They must have been quite expensive, right?" My mom was grinning from ear to ear, unable to suppress the corners of her mouth, yet she still pretended to scold. "Harry, you kid, buying such expensive things every time you come, even if you have money, you shouldn't spend it like this." "Exactly, Mom and Dad are right, let's return all of these later," I chimed in, adding my 2 cents. Suddenly, the entire room fell silent. In the end, it was my mom who forced a strained smile, slapping my hand as I tried to snatch back the gift box, saying, "You silly child, always talking nonsense." These are Harry's thoughtful gestures, meant to show support and respect. For you in front of your family, how can you not understand that? We're all family here, why bother with appearances? Since Mom and Dad are worried about us spending recklessly, I think it's better for us to be more restrained. I'll return all of these later, but I couldn't outdo my mom, so I sarcastically teased her with a fake sweet tone. "Oh, Mom, if you wanted them, you could have just said so. You made it sound so sincere at first. I really thought you were concerned about me." My mother's face turned pale then red, clearly furious. David James has always disliked me, thinking I only live this well because I married into wealth, but he has to consider Harry, so he forced out a sentence. "Sis, Mom didn't mean it that way." "What do you mean she didn't mean it that way? If you want it, just say so. If you don't, then don't. Why all the beating around the bush in a family? Can't you just speak directly? And if you want to borrow money from me, just say it directly. Is it necessary to bring Mom into it and have her talk to me about this and that? Besides, you say it's a loan, but you don't specify how long it'll be for, how it'll be repaid, or what the interest is. Is this really a sincere request to borrow money?" After a moment, I suddenly realized, "You don't expect me to just give you over $1 million for free, do you?" David James was so embarrassed by my words that he couldn't even lift his head, while my parents looked upset, unsure what I was trying to pull. How could I pass up such a great opportunity to vent? I turned to scold my parents. "You keep spoiling David James. If he can't even afford a few thousand in monthly loan payments, why is he buying a house? You never let him take on any responsibilities. How is he ever going to amount to anything?" "Exactly, you're still young now and can support him, but what will happen when you're old? Will his wife and children support him? Or will I have to support his entire family, in front of Harry?" My parents have always acted as if they dote on and love me, never saying a harsh word and always listening to me. I always thought my mother was doing this to establish my authority, so that Harry wouldn't dare to bully me casually, letting him know that I have my family and brothers to rely on. If things don't work out with him, I can always go back to my family. I have support and confidence, and my mother has always brainwashed me into believing this. But in my past life, they had already told me early on that everything at home was reserved for David James and that I shouldn't even think about it. Only after my death, not a single tear was shed. Instead, they rejoiced that all the Lewis family's money had fallen into the hands of their nephew. Only then did I realize that my parents had loved David James all along, and I was nothing more than a slave to support him, a tool for making money, a blood bag. As a child, I took care of his every need, feeding him, helping with his homework, and taking the blame for him when he grows up. Buy him a house, arrange a job for him, raise his children for him, and in the end, give your life and family property to his entire family before it's considered complete. But why? Fortunately, heaven gave me a second chance, allowing me to see clearly what kind of demons these so-called relatives, who hide behind the banner of family and wear masks of hypocrisy, truly are. Harry probably thought my words were a bit harsh and tugged at my sleeve. I squeezed his hand and told him to keep calm. My mom was taken aback by my sharp retort, her expression contorting for a long moment before she managed to force a smile. "He's your brother, can you really just ignore him?" I sneered. "If he can't even stand on his own, how am I supposed to help him?" David James had never heard me speak so harshly and immediately tried to jump up, but Lily held him back. "I think what my sister said makes sense. We should rely on our own efforts." I glanced at her and suddenly smiled. Lily really is sensible, by the way. That spiritual spring you prayed for, I don't need it. You can give it to someone else. Don't let it go to waste. It's such a precious thing. After saying that, I coquettishly said to Harry, "Honey, I'm tired. Let's go home." Harry was taken aback, probably not expecting to hear the word honey, which he had been wanting to hear for a long time. At this moment, then, catching a glimpse of the inexplicable tears shimmering in my eyes, his heart tightened, and he pulled me into his embrace. Alright, let's go home. Hey, why are you leaving already? We haven't even eaten yet. I threw a series of punches that left my parents stunned, and by the time they regained their composure, Harry had already taken me out the door. They anxiously followed us out. My mother tried to pull me back, but Harry stopped her. Jenna is tired. I'm taking her home first. Mom and Dad, we'll come visit you another day. Harry's voice was calm and unhurried, yet carried an indescribable air of nobility and authority that made it hard to argue with him here. I feel much more at ease. Just as we were about to get on the elevator, I suddenly remembered that my bag was still with my mom. It was a new item worth nearly 100,000, and I wasn't about to let them have it for free, so I pointed at David James and said, "Get my bag." Although David James was reluctant, he had no choice but to hold back his anger and go get my things because of Harry and my parents, and Lily took the opportunity to repeatedly try to persuade us to stay, but Harry, seeing that I wasn't interested, stepped in front of me and declined on my behalf. Once we got in the car, Harry saw me staring at him and ruffled my hair, saying, "Did our Jenna have a rough day today?" With just that one sentence, I couldn't hold back my tears. Harry is my senior, the kind of person who is detached from worldly desires. Like an unattainable flower on a high peak, in every aspect, we are from two completely different worlds. We had no connection at all except for a bit of overlap in one club, but in my junior year, he suddenly came to me and asked me to do him a favor, get married, to rebel against the arranged marriage set by his family. I never would have imagined that rich people could rebel against arranged marriages so casually, so I refused. After I graduated and started my own business, I was limited by my network and remained just a small studio, unable to break into a larger market. At that time, Harry approached me again, saying that if I helped him, he could leverage the Lewis family's connections to assist me. By then, I had seen a bit of the world. Though I was still young, I had savings of around $5 million. The Lewis family was considered a mid to upper tier enterprise in El City. In terms of family assets and connections, their foundation was far more stable than mine. Saying they want something from me doesn't make sense. So I didn't ask him why he chose me and resolutely decided to marry him. Of course, the main reason was that Harry is good-looking and offered too much. I couldn't refuse, but I always thought he married me simply because I happened to be around, was fairly accomplished, and was someone he knew. By using me to reject his family's arranged marriage, he wouldn't make his family lose too much face. I thought we were just in a cooperative relationship, until he, believing I couldn't have children, took the initiative to end our partnership, that is, to divorce, but he secretly had a vasectomy, declaring he would stick with me for life, and only then did I realize he had long since chosen me. When I asked him why he did this, he said his life was saved by me. It was then that I remembered the time I went back to the countryside as a child and saved a little boy from drowning. He said he initially approached me just to repay a kindness, but later, seeing my vibrant and hardworking spirit, like the rising sun, he couldn't help but be drawn to me. Unfortunately, in my past life, I realized everything too late, so in this life, I am determined to grow old with him, hand in hand. Yeah, I've been really wronged, so hubby, please take me to the hospital. Upon hearing this, Harry immediately became nervous. Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Harry is a man of few words. All his emotions are contained in the things he does for me. I couldn't help but reach out and touch his brows, thinking of how he lay in a pool of blood in his previous life, still making promises with me for the next life. In his final moments, I couldn't hold back my tears again. Thankfully, he is still my vibrant, young, and handsome Harry now. What's wrong? Why are you crying? Harry visibly panicked, grabbing my hand and placing it on his face while wiping away my tears. Seeing his anxious look, I couldn't help but laugh. I'm fine. I just missed you so much. Let's go to the hospital. I might have a surprise for you today. I didn't tell him about what happened today, somewhat unwilling to admit that I had been used by my parents. I also didn't want to lay myself bare and let Harry see my insecurity and cowardice. I need to fight. It wasn't until all the urgent test results confirmed that I was pregnant that Harry snapped out of his shock. He lost his composure and pulled me into a tight embrace, only to let go moments later as if afraid of hurting me. I'm sorry. I'm just too excited. Jenna, do we really have a child? I smiled and hugged him. Yes, we have a child, our very own child, to prevent my parents from relentlessly influencing me to achieve their goals. I lied to Harry, saying I was feeling down and wanted to go out to clear my mind. He immediately bought plane tickets and took me to Sonia. He bought a vacation home there, and to accompany me, he brought his assistant and moved all his work there. As for me, since the company was running smoothly, many tasks could easily be handled online, so we just changed our work location. During that time, my parents tried to contact me and Harry, but we Both brushed them off by saying we were busy with work until one day, David James called me in a panic, saying my mom had coughed up blood, the hospital had issued a critical condition notice, and I needed to hurry back home. Only then did I leisurely make my way back. The house my parents are living in now belongs to me. For aesthetic reasons, I installed hidden cameras, and now was the perfect time to see what was happening. It turned out that because I refused to drink the mineral water Lily brought home, my parents thought the spiritual spring water was healthy. On the day Lily's parents came to visit, all four of them drank a full glass each. Afterward, they all remarked, "The spiritual spring water is so sweet." At first, nothing seemed wrong, but after a little over a month, my mom started frequently clutching her stomach. My dad, on the other hand, acted as if nothing was wrong and even told her to drink more hot water. It wasn't until she suddenly vomited blood that David James rushed her to the hospital. By the time I arrived, she was still in the ICU. "How have you been taking care of Mom and Dad? How could she suddenly start vomiting blood?" I immediately pinned the blame on David James. He was about to retort when he saw Harry following behind me, swallowed his words, and said resentfully, "The doctor said Mom ate something unclean and brought leeches into her body, which caused her to cough up blood." "What does that have to do with me? Leeches? How could there be leeches at home? What did she eat?" I was surprised. In my previous life, I never had any issues with leeches. It was just a matter of personal constitution, combined with hormonal changes during pregnancy, that made me contract hydatid disease much faster than the average person. Now that I think about it, perhaps there really were leeches in the water I didn't drink. But my mom just didn't notice them when she drank it. How would I know about her? David James probably forgot about the bottle of water he brought back for me, looking completely unfazed. But before he could finish his sentence, his phone rang. I saw it was Lily. "David, come back quickly. My dad is coughing up blood." Her voice came through the phone, startling David James so much that he froze completely. Later, Lily's father was rushed to the hospital. The doctors performed surgery and discovered it was another case of leech infection. Unfortunately, he had leeches parasitizing his bile duct, stomach, and large intestine, each one plump and well-fed. "I guess he drank the water that was left at the bottom." "How could both of you have eaten something unclean?" I asked David James and Lily. Both of them looked utterly defeated and completely clueless at that moment. My dad suddenly thought of something and said, trembling, "Could it be that bottle of spiritual spring water Lily brought back from Tibet?" When he said that, Lily's mother couldn't help but tremble as well. But that thing was brought back by her daughter, and she absolutely couldn't admit it, so she defended it by saying, "How could that be?" Lily said it was obtained from the temple, blessed and sealed. How could there be any problem? At this point, Lily grew anxious. "Mom, what are you talking about? Did you also drink the bottled water I brought back?" David James couldn't sit still either and quickly stood up. You all drank it." "What mineral water did Lily bring back? Could it be the same bottle she wanted to give me last time?" I asked in surprise, reminding everyone. Lily and David James' faces instantly turned extremely pale, but before I could continue asking, a nurse came with some forms, calling us to handle admission and payment procedures. Everyone turned their gaze toward me. I raised an eyebrow, took the forms, and went downstairs. On the way, Harry asked me what had happened, so I told him my guess. Lily brought me some roadside stream water from her trip, which I didn't want. Who knew my parents? And her parents thought it was something good and ended up drinking it. His expression changed several times, and I guess he probably wanted to say it was a good thing I didn't drink it, but his upbringing held him back. When it was time to pay, he took out his card and was about to swipe 50,000, but I stopped him. "I'll handle it." I handed 500 in cash to the cashier, then turned to him and said, "My parents both have health insurance, so it won't cost much. Besides, there's my brother. My parents took 800,000 from us as a bride price and gave him all their savings to buy a house. As their son, he can't just avoid taking on any responsibility, right?" But Harry wanted to say more, but seeing my insistence, he didn't press further. After I paid the fee, he asked me where I was going, and I said I was going home. I was almost home when David James realized I hadn't gone up yet and quickly called me, asking why I hadn't come up. I told him I had gone home, and he nearly jumped on the other end. I ignored him, hung up the phone, and when he called again, I blocked him. He called Harry, and Harry said he was tired and wanted to come back to rest. Since no one could get into the ICU where his mom was, staying at the hospital was pointless, so he told them to go back as well. He said we would go again the next afternoon when visiting hours were allowed. David James never dared to argue with Harry, so he could only hang up the phone resentfully. My mom and Lily's dad were Discharged from the hospital a little over a week later, I went to visit them once during that time and bought some fruits and milk. My parents repeatedly tried to get me to go to the hospital to settle their bills for them, even suggesting that I pay for Lily's dad's expenses as well, but I refused outright. Everyone should take care of their own parents. As for my mom, I made it very clear about all the expenses. Whatever is covered by medical insurance, David James, and I will split the remaining half equally. No one should take advantage of the other. Since we were in the hospital and there were so many people around, my parents couldn't really confront me about it. On the day my mom was discharged from the hospital, I had to travel out of town for a business meeting. She kept calling me, and even though I told her I'd come back as soon as I was done, she continued to call nonstop. One moment she said I had no conscience for not visiting her while she was sick, and the next she accused me of trying to drive her to her death by leaving her to die in the hospital. I know she just wants me to go back and pay her hospital discharge fees. This time, she probably thought I would cover the costs for her again, so she chose all the self-pay options available at the hospital. As a result, I doubt much of it got reimbursed. I couldn't be bothered to deal with her, so I blocked everyone in the family. Harry stayed with me, and I used his phone to block them all as well. As for my in-laws, I never let them keep contact information from the very beginning, mainly because I felt that Harry and I were in a cooperative relationship. My family matters were my own to handle, and there was no need to involve them too deeply. Looking back now, that decision was incredibly foresight. I returned home after being busy for a few days, and as soon as I stepped in, the whole family had grim expressions, sitting on the sofa and staring at me as if I were a criminal. I didn't indulge them either. I turned around and left. You have the nerve to come back. Seeing that I was about to leave, my mom, who had just had surgery, jumped up from the sofa and rushed to grab me. Fortunately, Harry came in with some fruit just then, and my mom's rough movements froze in place, looking quite ridiculous. Then I'll just leave. I put on a pitiful expression and pushed Harry toward the door. They probably didn't expect that wherever I go now, Harry follows. Didn't he just take over the Lewis family? Isn't he busy? Of course, he's busy, but as he puts it, no matter how busy he is, it can't compare to me. I suspect he's guessed something. Nowadays, he's very cautious about my interactions with my family. I still can't openly discuss the truth with him, but he doesn't make things difficult for me either. He doesn't ask too many questions, just quietly stays by my side, making me feel at ease. Where are you going? Harry just got here. My mom changed her expression quickly, took the fruit from Harry, and pulled him inside, so I followed him and sat back down. Dad, Mom, David James, and Lily surrounded Harry in the middle of the sofa. He was protecting me, and I sat beside him, feeling an inexplicable sense of ridiculousness, like a fox borrowing the tiger's might. After talking for a long time and bringing up all sorts of irrelevant topics, my parents finally got to the subject of her hospital bills and my dad's checkup fees. That's right. The day they found out the water they drank was brought back by Lily and the others from outdoors, and both my mom and Lily's dad ended up in the hospital because of it. My dad insisted on getting a checkup too. Fortunately, it wasn't a big issue, but the doctor also said that most of the water in Tibet contains echinococcus bacteria, and the onset time varies from person to person. It can be as quick as a month or as slow as several decades. I told him to get checked every year, and if anything comes up, to get treated right away. 12,000. When my mom mentioned the checkup and hospitalization fees totaling 100,000, I pretended to be shocked, then pulled out a hospital settlement statement from my bag. But according to the settlement list my friend helped me get, after deducting what could be reimbursed and including my dad's over 8,000 in checkup fees, it only came to 50,000. Mom, you didn't include Lily's parents' expenses in there, did you? Their expressions changed immediately, probably wondering why I had gone to get the settlement statement. Harry thoughtfully explained, Jenna was worried about Mom's condition and had already made arrangements with the hospital. Making arrangements means hoping you receive the best treatment, so don't say I didn't take care of you anymore. So, after my mother's expression shifted a few times, she added, you know Lily is the only child in the family, her father is seriously ill and hospitalized, so we should help out a bit. Using my money to help out. Mom, are you serious? Besides, how did you end up like this? Do I really need to spell it out? Have any of you ever thought about what would happen if I had drunk that water? No, you haven't, right? Of course, you probably can't even imagine, because the knife hasn't cut you, so how would you know the pain? I spoke very bluntly, but I never expected David James to suddenly say, if you had drunk it, where would all this trouble be now? I stood up and slapped him across the face. David James, is that even human language? Wasn't it you and Lily who brought that water back? You knew full well that the water wasn't clean and could very well carry germs, yet you still coaxed me into drinking it, saying it was something you sincerely sought. What, were you hoping I'd die? Let me tell you, this whole mess with Mom and Dad was caused by the two of you. I originally thought we could split the medical bills between us siblings, but now I've thought it over. I'm not dealing with it anymore. Whoever caused the trouble should handle it, otherwise, you'll always think someone's got your back. Dream on. After saying that, I grabbed Harry's hand to leave. He shielded me, and seeing my parents' anxious expressions as they tried to stop us, he said coldly, "If Jenna hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known that bottle of water was actually prepared by you for her." His words, filled with anger and sarcasm, stunned everyone. By the time they snapped out of it and tried to explain, he had already led me out, in the end. David, James and Lily had no choice but to grit their teeth and cover the treatment and examination costs for the elderly. Rumor has it they even ended up arguing over it. From the surveillance footage, I saw the two of them arguing several times over the incident caused by bringing back that bottle of water. It was quite amusing, to say the least. After that, I didn't contact my family for a long time. However, Harry mentioned that David James had reached out to him multiple times, hoping to properly apologize to me, but I had him turn down every request. Still, letting them off so easily would have made me seem too weak, so it wasn't until David James had been pleading with Harry for over a month that I finally relented a little. But I didn't want to see him. I only had Harry go to my parents' place to convey that the matter was now considered resolved. That day, I was waiting for him at home. Feeling drowsy from pregnancy, I fell asleep on the sofa. When I woke up, I found him holding me, also asleep, but he woke up as soon as I moved. "Why didn't you go to bed? I was waiting for you. How did things go?" Seeing my eagerness, he nuzzled my neck and said, "Everything has been arranged as you instructed, my dear. In my previous life, David James had always wanted to join Lewis Corp, but I never agreed. However, after I was hospitalized, David James's actions moved Harry, who not only gave him a loan but also arranged for him to join Lewis Corp. But he had neither the education nor the skills. All he knew was how to throw his weight around. As the brother-in-law of the general manager, that alone was enough for him to act arrogantly in Lewis Corp. So, just 3 months after Lily gave birth, he got an intern pregnant, and she came straight to their door with the pregnancy test results. Lily was so furious that she immediately demanded a divorce. Of course, David James refused, and the household was thrown into complete chaos. Fortunately, that girl only wanted money. I paid her a sum, and she took the money and left. Meanwhile, Lily was threatening to kill herself and demanding a divorce, while David James was full of remorse and begging for forgiveness. My mother kept crying in front of me every day, asking me to help David James. In the end, I gave Lily a school district apartment and also gave him $200,000 just to save his little family and his marriage, since he still wants to join the Lewis family in this lifetime. Then let him have his wish. As I expected, David James entered the Lewis family just like in my previous life, refusing to learn anything good and embracing all the bad habits. In this life, I had Harry arrange for him to be a department manager in an unimportant position, and he actually thought he was a talented individual. He quickly became very close with many female colleagues. However, for someone as incompetent as him, women with real experience and proper values wouldn't give him the time of day. The only ones who let him get close were those who were interested in his status. As the brother-in-law of the Lewis family head, he was smug and self-satisfied, thinking he had boundless charm. And then, before I knew it, I slipped up just before Lily gave birth. Someone sent Lily a bed photo of her and David James, which made her so angry that she went into premature labor and had a major hemorrhage, almost not making it out of the delivery room. Harry said that when he went to the hospital, David James was being forced to kneel at the delivery room door by a few of Lily's cousins and brothers. They said he would keep kneeling until Lily came out, which made my parents both angry and heartbroken for quite a while. I originally wanted to go to the hospital to see, but Harry didn't let me. However, after hearing his explanation, I still felt quite satisfied, but I was afraid Harry would think I was heartless, so I managed to hold back my laughter afterward. Lily had most of her blood replaced and was finally saved. However, due to the severity of the situation, she lost her uterus. Just like in her previous life, she gave birth to a son, but unlike the full-term baby from her previous life, this child was delivered via emergency C-section and was immediately admitted to the ICU. She didn't know whether it was because of the child or because of the cheating David James, but she cried all day, and no one could console her. My mother knew this matter couldn't be easily resolved and called me several times a day. It wasn't until I said I was suffering from morning sickness and didn't want to hear her talk about those things that she exclaimed in shock, You're pregnant." I couldn't be bothered to deal with her and simply said, "I'm pregnant, and my temper is really bad." I don't want to hear about David James and all that nonsense. Handle your own family matters yourselves. Also, the incident where David James slept with a colleague has been suppressed by Harry. Because of this, my father-in-law scolded Harry and even threatened to remove him from his position as general manager. Don't bother him recently, he's already stressed out. I wanted to say something more to my mom, but I just hung up the phone. After that, I flew out of town again with Harry, working while taking care of my pregnancy. At this time, I plan to stay until after I give birth before returning over there. David James finally managed to calm Lily down with vows and promises, even signing a marital property agreement that transferred all his real estate and funds into Lily's name. Only then did she forgive him. As for that girl, under my guidance, David James discovered she was actually seeing several people at once. After a heated argument, the other party, seeing no benefit in staying, took $30,000 and left. It is said that after that incident, David James and Lily started arguing as if it were a daily routine, sometimes even pushing and shoving when things got heated. Anyway, life was full of bumps and hurdles, but it was still manageable. However, fate is always fair. The bomb that was planted doesn't fail to explode. It just hasn't reached its time. Just as Carl James was about to celebrate his 100-day banquet, my father fell ill. Upon examination, it was discovered that the hydatid cyst on his liver had suddenly ruptured. He was immediately scheduled for surgery and had a quarter of his liver removed. Later, it was found that several cysts had also developed in his lungs. The doctor recommended another surgery in the near future to remove the infected part of his lungs. I went back to check on the situation, and it wasn't as serious as my mother had made it out to be. My mom is taking care of him in the hospital and often calls me, hoping I'll go visit him, but as a heavily pregnant woman, if she expects me to spend all day at the hospital, either she's crazy or I am. So I ignored her and focused on preparing for childbirth. Lily's dad really had bad luck. The previous surgery had a major impact on him, and he never fully recovered, so he still relies on her mom for care. So, Lily stayed home alone to take care of the child. Coincidentally, David James had recently taken the initiative to join a high-intensity department in order to stay at Lewis Corp. He said he wanted to work hard and settle in for a few months first, so he came home exhausted every day. Lily was taking care of the child all by herself, with no one to lend a hand. When David James came back, she just wanted to rest a bit and have him take care of the child and tidy up the house, but David James was not the kind of person to do such things. He even said that Lily only had to take care of a child, so how could there be so much to do? The house was a mess, the meals were poorly made, and she kept bothering him and bossing him around all day. In less than a week, they had already argued 2 or 3 times. My mom called me several times to complain, saying Lily was being unreasonable and that taking care of a child wasn't that tiring. She said David James was already working so hard, so why should he have to cater to her when he got home? After talking for a while, she suggested I hire a nanny for Lily or something. I bluntly said, whoever gives birth should raise the child. Aren't you Carl's aunt? I cut her off. Don't even think about it. I'm just the aunt, not the parents. I can't handle it. Besides, wasn't this child the one you and Dad were eagerly waiting for? If you feel sorry for him, why don't you hire a nanny for him? Besides, doesn't David James earn money from his job? Take Lily, for example. Didn't she use up the 180,000 yuan bride price you gave her? How dare you come up with such an idea and even have the nerve to say it to me? Just as my mom was about to explode, I called out, honey, can you get me a pillow? I need to prop up my lower back. Sure. Harry smiled at me, brought a pillow to cushion my back, and then casually leaned in and said, Mom, once Jenna and I finish up with work here, we'll come back to visit you and Dad. Please take good care of yourselves. My mom was probably quite choked up, awkwardly responded, and then hung up the phone. I nestled in Harry's arms, and he nuzzled the top of my head. I suddenly looked up at him and hesitated for a moment before saying, do you think I'm too heartless? He held me and swayed a bit without saying a word, and I felt a little uneasy inside. I used to think our relationship was a partnership, so how he saw me didn't really bother me, but now, I don't want him to misunderstand me. In your home, there are solo photos of everyone, even your brother's dog, but none of you, and in the family photo from your brother's wedding, even though you contributed the most and there were photos with you in them, they still only printed the one without you. You clearly don't like eating fish and seafood, but your family doesn't know. Every time you go back, they prepare it and insist you eat it, even scolding you for being picky if you refuse. You dislike pickled cabbage the most, yet she still makes so much for you every year, saying it was your favorite when you were a child. You're clearly lactose intolerant, yet she always forces you to drink regular milk. His voice was low and calm, yet it carried a reassuring magic. I listened to him slowly recount what he had seen and heard, stripped of the false exterior, and I was already in tears. He knew everything all along. Love is not just a word spoken, but the reflection of countless subtle actions. 2 days later, I went into labor and was admitted to the hospital, giving birth to a healthy 7-pound baby boy that same night. As soon as I left the delivery room, a landline call came in from the police station in my hometown county. He said my mom and David James killed Lily, and asked me to go to the police station. It turned out that because of child-rearing issues, David James and Lily's argument escalated into a physical fight, and David James accidentally strangled Lily to death. My mom originally went back to get some clothes, but as soon as she entered, she saw David James trembling and preparing to flee. The house was in such disarray, as if it had been ransacked by robbers, with nothing left intact. When my mom found out that Lily had been strangled by David James, her first reaction wasn't to call the police, but to help him cover up the truth. Little did she know, the neighbors had already called the police when David James and the others made a commotion during their fight due to the loud noise. When they arrived at the police station, my mom immediately rushed to confess, saying she was the one who killed the person and that David James had nothing to do with it. David James also claimed he knew nothing about it. The two were taken to the police station. The police first called my dad, who fainted on the spot, whether from shock or anger, upon hearing that Lily was dead and that both my mom and David James had been arrested. Later, Harry arrived and presented the home surveillance footage, proving that David James was the one who had killed her. Both of them were completely stunned. I didn't need to think hard to imagine how viciously my mom and David James must have cursed me, but I hadn't expected Harry to be so furious. He even specifically instructed that Lewis family's opinion need not be considered and that the law should take its course. In the end, David James was sentenced to 7 years for involuntary manslaughter, and my mother was sentenced to a year and a half for harboring a criminal. After David James and my mom were taken into custody, my dad took on the responsibility of raising Carl James, but within a couple of days, he gave up and decided to send the child over to me. He said I'm his aunt, and since I'm already looking after one child, what's one more? Besides, if I don't take care of him, who will? I almost laughed in disbelief. In my past life, because I could no longer have children of my own, Harry suggested that I adopt one. My mother, after discussing with David James and the others, suggested that I adopt Carl James. My mother, he's your own nephew, shares half your blood, definitely better than some random child from outside who you'll never truly bond with. David James, I actually think Carl takes after our sister more. Look at that nose, so straight, not like Lily and me, both with flat noses. Lily said gently, I know my sister cares deeply for Carl and will definitely treat him as her own. He'll have a better future with her than with me and David. Don't worry, I will never tell him about his origins in my lifetime. You will always be his mother. I was persuaded by their words, and since Harry also agreed, I went through the formalities to have Carl James legally adopted under my and Harry's name. But while Lily claimed she wouldn't tell Carl the truth, she secretly took him for a paternity test behind my back. She said it was because I was trying to take him away that she had no choice but to let go of this. Made Carl hate me to the core from a young age. For over 20 years after that, I devoted myself to nurturing and caring for him, giving him the best from the very beginning. When he said he wanted a relaxed learning environment, I enrolled him in an international school. He didn't want to take the college entrance exam, so I sent him abroad for high school. Wasn't everything he ate and used the very best every year. I spent tens of millions on him, and in the end, I turned him into a well-educated, wealthy, and sophisticated second-generation rich kid. But how did he repay me? Starting in high school, he began drugging me and Harry with psychiatric medications. Long-term use not only disrupted our body's hormones but also affected our mental state. As a result, Harry fell down the stairs, suffered massive bleeding, and passed away. I, too, died in a car accident after days of mental breakdown. I will never care about Carl James again in this lifetime. That fundamentally selfish and foolish person. I don't care about Carl James. And my father has no choice but to struggle along. I originally thought that once my mother got out of prison, things would be better, at least based on past experience. My mother could control me, and my compromise was inevitable sooner or later, but I never expected that almost a year after my mother was imprisoned, she suddenly suffered from organ necrosis and anaphylactic shock due to a ruptured hydatid cyst, which later led to heart failure. Even after being rescued, she became a vegetable. My father had no choice but to take care of Carl James while waiting for David James to be released from prison. However, things did not go as planned. In the second year of his imprisonment, David James began to show signs of madness, constantly ranting that he shouldn't be locked up in prison. He believed he should be enjoying immense wealth and living a life above others. Later, when I went to visit him, his madness had worsened. He even repeatedly fantasized about being a wealthy tycoon and became violent, harming others. I had no choice but to send him to a mental hospital. In the end, my father's health deteriorated, and I sent him to a nursing home due to Lily's death. My family was torn apart by death and separation, and custody of Carl James fell to Lily's family. However, it is said that because David James killed Lily, her parents have always treated Carl James poorly. Of course, that's none of my business anymore. 2 years later, Harry and I moved abroad due to the company's expansion. My life was back on track after hearing the stories above. What are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.